Taurus, I know you have been carrying a quiet heaviness that very few people have ever truly seen. On the surface, you have done your best to appear steady, to hold yourself together, to meet your responsibilities, and to keep life moving forward. But deep inside, there has been a weight pressing on your chest, a weight that came from wounds you did not deserve. You have felt the sting of betrayal, the loneliness of being misunderstood, and the silence that follows when others walk away without realizing how much they left behind in you. This burden has shaped your days and has often stretched into your nights, leaving you awake when the world is sleeping, replaying memories that you wish would finally release you. For a long time, you may have questioned why the universe allowed certain people to hurt you, why their actions seemed to carry no consequence, and why you were the one left holding all the pain. In those moments, it felt unfair, almost unbearable, like shouting into an empty sky and hearing no answer return. Yet what you did not realize is that while you were standing in the shadows of that injustice, something was quietly being written in the unseen layers of your destiny. Every tear you wiped away, every time you chose to keep going despite the ache in your soul, every time you resisted the temptation to harden your heart completely, these moments were not wasted. They were recorded, they were remembered, and they became part of a much larger story that is still unfolding. You see, Taurus, the weight you have carried has not only been about the pain itself, it has also been about the lessons your spirit has been forced to confront in silence. You have learned patience when everything inside you wanted resolution. You have learned endurance when walking away would have been easier. You have learned compassion for yourself in ways you never knew you needed. Because only by sitting with your wounds did you begin to understand the depth of your own strength. This is not strength that was shouted into the world, but strength that was built slowly, in the quiet spaces where no one else could see. And this strength is the very foundation of the life you are about to step into. As heavy as it has been, this burden was never meant to break you. It was meant to transform you. And now, as we move into the next chapter, the universe is preparing to shift the scales in a way that will not only release you from what you have carried, but also reveal why you had to endure it for so long. What comes next is the balancing of all that has been uneven. And it begins with the recognition that your suffering was never forgotten. The energy you poured into surviving will soon return to you as the energy that lifts you into thriving. This is where part 2 begins. Taurus, the turning of the cosmic scales. Taurus, there comes a moment when the silence of the universe breaks, when the energy that once felt stagnant suddenly begins to move with unmistakable force, and you are standing at the very edge of that shift right now. For too long, it has seemed as if those who caused harm could walk freely, untouched by the consequences of their actions, while you were left to gather the pieces of your own heart and rebuild in solitude. But balance has a way of asserting itself, and the weight of what was unfair is being lifted from your shoulders as it begins to press back on theirs. This is not about vengeance or bitterness. It is the natural correction of energies, the simple truth that no action exists in isolation and that what is given out into the world inevitably returns to its source. You may not see it all at once, but you will begin to notice small signals that confirm the change has started, conversations that reveal truths long hidden, patterns of deceit that can no longer hold together, and circumstances that shift in ways even the most careful manipulator cannot control. Where once you felt powerless, you will sense that the current of life is now moving in your favor, carrying you forward instead of holding you back. The scales that were tilted so heavily against you are beginning to level, and as they do, the ground beneath your feet feels different, firmer, steadier, more secure. The turning of these scales is not only external, it is also happening within you. The heaviness that has defined so many of your days is slowly loosening its grip, and in its place you are finding clarity. The fog of confusion that once clouded your mind is thinning, and you can finally see with clear eyes what is truly yours and what never was. The pain you carried taught you to recognize truth in its pure form. And now that truth is becoming your compass, where there was once hesitation, there will be steady steps. Where there was once fear, there will be quiet confidence. This internal alignment mirrors the external balance that destiny is orchestrating, and together they form the bridge that will carry you into the next chapter. Taurus, this is the beginning of a season where life restores what you thought was lost. The injustice that weighed on you is no longer the end of your story. It is the turning point. And as you stand in this moment, with the scales shifting visibly around you, the universe whispers one promise: what was taken will return, multiplied, and the blessings that follow will feel both earned and divinely timed. This is where your path begins to widen, where opportunities hidden behind closed doors start to reveal themselves, leading us directly into Part 3, the gift that was always meant for you. Taurus, as the scales of destiny shift, something remarkable begins to unfold in your life. What you once believed had slipped away forever is now circling back to you in new and unexpected forms. The blessings that seemed delayed were never denied. They were simply waiting for the right alignment, for the moment when your heart was ready to receive them without fear of losing them again. You may notice it first as small openings, an invitation here, a message there, a sudden clarity about where to go next. These are not accidents. They are the first threads of a greater tapestry being revealed. The gift that is meant for you is not only material, though it may show itself through opportunities, recognition, or abundance flowing into your hands. It is also the gift of peace, of waking up without the weight of dread pressing on your chest, of feeling your spirit expand instead of contract, of realizing that life is no longer only about surviving. It is the gift of new connections that feel genuine, of relationships that do not drain but nourish, and of love in its purest forms, finding its way back into your life, whether through another's presence or through the deeper bond you are now able to form with yourself. There is also a subtler gift, Taurus, one that is more precious than all the rest: perspective. The pain you endured taught you the value of authenticity, and now you will no longer settle for anything less. Where once you might have accepted half-truths or tolerated disrespect, now you see them clearly for what they are, and you know you are worthy of more. This clarity is itself a doorway, one that ensures the gifts you receive will not slip through your fingers, because you will be strong enough to hold them and wise enough to protect them. The universe is not merely giving back what was taken, it is multiplying it. The love you lost will be replaced with a love deeper and truer. The opportunities that closed will give way to ones better aligned with your soul. The stability you craved will anchor itself beneath your feet. This is abundance in its truest sense. Not just possessions or achievements, but a life that feels full, balanced, and alive. And as these gifts begin to take root, they lead you naturally into the next stage. Part 4, the new chapter: rising, where you step fully into the person you were always meant to become. Taurus, there is a point when life no longer feels like a repetition of the same wounds, when the cycle of waiting and hurting finally gives way to something entirely new, and you are standing at that threshold now. This new chapter does not erase the past, but it reshapes it. What once was only pain becomes the soil that allows you to grow stronger roots. The nights you thought were wasted in grief were actually seasons of preparation, teaching you resilience and self-respect. Now, as you step forward, you are not the same person who first carried that burden. You are steadier, wiser, and more certain of your worth. In this rising chapter, The focus shifts from loss to creation. Instead of asking why you were hurt, you begin to ask what you can build from here. Instead of holding on to the silence of those who failed you, you lean into the voices that support and uplift you. The universe is not handing you fragments to piece together anymore. It is opening doors to entire landscapes of possibility. Relationships feel lighter because they are based on honesty. Work feels more purposeful because it finally aligns with your values. Even the quiet moments carry a sense of peace rather than emptiness. What makes this chapter so powerful is that it is not about proving yourself to anyone, it is about living fully as yourself. No longer will you shape your life around the expectations of others or compromise your truth to fit into places that were never meant for you. You have walked through the fire, Taurus, and instead of being consumed, you have been refined. Now you rise with a clarity that cannot be taken away. And with it comes the courage to step into opportunities that once would have frightened you. This is not the return to an old version of your life. It is the beginning of something greater than you imagined when you were still in the middle of your suffering. And as this chapter takes shape, you will realize that the universe was never punishing you. It was preparing you. What lies ahead is not only the healing of the past, but the celebration of a future filled with meaning, connection, and abundance. Which brings us to part 5, the final closing message, where all of this comes together into the truth you most need to carry forward. Taurus, as this journey comes together, there is one truth you need to hold close. The past does not define you, but it has shaped you into someone capable of carrying light even through the darkest corridors. You are no longer the person who once questioned whether justice would ever come or whether your pain mattered. You are the one who endured, who transformed, who continued to rise even when it would have been easier to collapse. And now, the universe is meeting you with balance, with restoration, and with a future that carries both stability and joy. This is not about watching another fall. It is about recognizing that your rise was always written. Their actions do not decide your destiny, your resilience does. Every closed door prepared you for the ones now opening. Every sleepless night sharpened the wisdom you carry. Every disappointment carved space in your heart for something more genuine to arrive. And it is arriving, Taurus. It is arriving in your relationships, where love and loyalty will finally meet you without condition. It is arriving in your work, where your efforts will no longer go unnoticed. It is arriving in your spirit, where peace replaces the noise of old fears. The message is simple but unshakable. You are free to step forward without the weight of yesterday. You are free to embrace abundance without guilt. You are free to trust yourself without hesitation. This is your moment to claim not only the life you once dreamed of, but the life that exceeds even those dreams. Because the balance of the universe does not return things as they were, it multiplies them. What was lost is coming back to you in greater form. And what was taken is being replaced with something you could not have created on your own. So, Taurus, lift your eyes and take your steady steps into this new horizon. Do not carry the old story into this chapter, because it is finished. The scales have turned, the gifts are unfolding, and the new chapter has already begun. All that remains is for you to say yes to your healing, to your abundance, to the love that is waiting, and to the truth that you were never forgotten. This is your final message. Walk forward with trust, because everything you deserve is now finding its way home to you.